With us today is Derrell Peel, OSU Extension Livestock Marketing Specialist. Derrell, the war in Ukraine is a continuing situation. What impacts have you noticed for cattle markets?
You know, in terms of cattle and beef, the impacts we've seen are really more indirect than direct. In terms of, global beef trade, it's really not an issue with respect to Russia or Ukraine. Russia is a minor importer of beef, and the U.S. hasn't traded any beef or pork or poultry, frankly, for a number of years with Russia. So those kind of direct effects are not there, at least not at this point in time. Obviously, the grain market situation has big implications in terms of feed markets, and the cattle markets have reacted to that. And then, of course, broad-based energy prices affects everybody, and so it's affecting us on the production side as well as, raising concerns on the consumer side.
Are there any additional impacts we might see?
Well, obviously we don't know how this thing's going to play out, so there's lots of unknowns and uncertainty, but the impacts we mentioned will continue there for a while, so the feed market impacts are going to continue to be there, the energy market. And on the energy side, one of the things we're watching for would be more impacts on the consumer part in terms of the impacts on beef demand. High gas prices takes money out of consumers' pockets, and the beef demand is pretty susceptible to impact. So we haven't really seen that yet, at least not that we can be sure of, but that's something we'll have to watch for going forward.
What do you expect for cattle markets in the coming months?
We're still on track for higher cattle prices this year. The trend is up. We've got a lot of optimism on the price side built into this market, and I don't think anything's going to change that. Cattle numbers are tighter. The overall situation on that side hasn't changed. And so the things we're talking about are impacts on the input side. And so the question of profitability is certainly more up in the air. But from a price standpoint, we're looking for higher prices. Probably the highest prices of the year for most classes of cattle will occur in the last part of the year.
What can consumers expect for beef prices as we move towards grilling season?
We've had a lot of talk about high beef prices. They've been going up for several months. There is a limit. We watch that, although we haven't really seen a lot of obvious pushback at this point. Grilling season will seasonally put some additional upward pressure on those prices. I don't think we're going to see beef prices come down very much. For all of the reasons we've talked about, beef production is expected to fall as we go through the year, so supplies will get tighter, even if there is kind of a limit. So beef prices may not go up as fast as they have in recent months. I don't think they're going to come down very much.
And finally, tell us about the Eastern Oklahoma Cattle Summit that's coming up in April.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that April 14th in McAlester, Oklahoma, the Eastern Oklahoma Beef Cattle Summit will be happening. It's an all-day program. It will be at the Southeast Oklahoma Expo Center, just outside of McAlester. And so it's a good program, all-day program. There'll be a number of speakers there. I will be there as part of that. And the theme of that day is going to be how to manage through these high input costs.
Thank you, Derrell. We'll see you again next time.
Okay.